I'd like to call the meeting to order. If you stand and say the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everybody, for coming. We have no written communication. I do believe we have some or a board report. This is Bob.
Yes, we met as a district safety committee on December 16th, right before winter break, and we did a Zoom meeting. So all 4 buildings had representatives from the staff and families, and we were also joined by district office representatives, our SRO, Amherst Emergency Service representatives, BOCES Health and Safety representative, and we also had 3 new student representatives. So we were very well attended. We were first updated on the Smart Schools bond, and then we went through the checklist that was developed to meet the new requirements for the policy for school safety plans. And each building was providing an update on the different items listed within the checklist, and also shared some safety measures that were specific to the pandemic, which was obviously on our minds this year. We opened up the discussion topics and addressed the hybrid and typical annual drill procedures, which have not changed. And we also discussed the newly required pandemic planning, which was issued by the State Education Department in December. And Mr. Belisle will be drafting the required plan, and we'll get input from the district committee membership, and final documentation will be approved in April. We identified some follow-up items, and those were that we are continuing to work on threat assessment, and we discussed identifying some capital needs, and we went through the different building representatives, but those are going to be more specifically addressed in the actual building safety committees. That's it.
Great, thank you. Does anyone else have any updates?
I attended the Erie County School Board School budget minutes. The majority of the meeting was a very detailed line item discussion of everything that was in the budget. To the point where one board member said, well, can't we just kind of talk about the big items? At that point, there was too much momentum behind being down in the micro. We got into a kind of a round table by school district on what's going on. There was a lot of COVID conversation. Nothing new to share with this group. The only thing of interest that I wrote down is BPS is looking to launch modified sports. So Buffalo Public Schools is looking at a modified sports area. But in light of COVID budgets, what's that going to look like? The desire is there, they're going to do it somehow, but I can't tell you what they're going to do, whether they're going to do it with sports.
Okay, great. Anyone else? All right, we'll move right into the superintendent's report.
Oh, great, thank you. First item is we have a virtual presentation of the Students and Teachers of the Month for November and December from Mr. Pigeon and the Pathfinders Task Force.
Thank you to Superintendent Piniella and our Board of Education for this opportunity. It's always exciting to be able to present to you our Amherst Central High School Student of the Month and Teacher of the Month. This month, we are featuring November and December. So without further ado, I'll jump right in. November Student of the Month, Aydah Bastido. Aydah was nominated by Ms. Boyer-Strang and shared that Aydah is always a source of light and creativity in class and in the Latin Club. She always has original project ideas and really has a genuine love and enthusiasm for learning about the Roman culture and Latin language, and always makes class fun. Aydah recently participated in the New York State Junior Classical League competition. She won several awards, both individual and team level, and it was interesting because it was a fully virtual format this year. However, she still proved to be a fierce competitor. Congratulations to Aydah. Ms. Sorrentino also added that Aydah has a wonderful work ethic and a very happy personality, and it's always impressed her. Aydah recently helped Miss Sorrentino learn about the application quizzes. She made a quiz for her class project and did a great job. As a result, Miss Sorrentino was able to really pick up on this new technological platform. Excuse the Amherst Central High School bell. And she's been able to use this platform in class after the fact. So it's always fun when teachers can learn from their students, and it's definitely a wonderful surprise when students can really help their teachers. Miss Fordham shared that Aydah is total sweetheart. The first day of school, when anxiety was high for everyone and there was so much uncertainty, Aydah left a bottle of hand sanitizer in her mailbox and a nice encouraging note. Miss Fordham was really touched by this thoughtfulness, and every day since, there's really been that same sweetness that comes out in Aydah. She laughs at Miss Fordham's jokes and really helps the class feel normal even when she's attending class at home. Aydah is really a joy to have in class and a hard worker. Mr. Berger had shared that Aydah's had such a positive impact on him personally. Even though school is a little different than it was last year, Aydah reminds us all that our efforts are meaningful and important and really doing a good job in this challenging environment. So congratulations, Aydah. Household name in Amherst, Jack Lenz. Jack Lenz was nominated by our Pathfinders and is really, really talented young man. Ms. Legoff shared that his scholastic achievements in both AP, college, and honors level courses are outstanding, and it has a lot to do with his aptitude and work ethic. He's aware of the plight of others. He's volunteered in the community. He was on our Costa Rica service trip. He's a Boy Scout. He volunteers at his church all 4 years of high school. He's involved in our school, a member of the math team, mock trial, science Olympiad, cross country, indoor track, outdoor track, and swimming. Very, very balanced young man. He also has interest in skiing, snowboarding, backpack, and he's a camper. So Jack is a leader in and out of the classroom. Miss Ward shared that Jack is as quick a thinker as he is a runner, and he was one of the seniors that gave us a run for our money in the homecoming trivia contest. He's always a welcome addition for the Quiz Bowl, and he's sure to really be a leader this year on the Quiz Bowl team. Competitions will be underway very, very soon. His coach, Ms. Keppel-Keenan, stated that Jack has been an amazing role model this year and a friend to everyone around him. Jack had really set some high goals for himself and the team, both athletically and academically. Athletically, he set his sights on the sectional championship, and not only did we accomplish that task, but his motivation was contagious, and he got the entire cross-country team working towards the goal of the first ever cross-country men's championship. This past season, both individually and team goals were accomplished, and Jack helped motivate his teammates, showed them how that work ethic and being a role model for our young athletes is really what excites the team and makes for a bright future for our cross-country team. Jack's spirit and his Amherst pride is evident, and he's an excellent choice for Student of the Month. So congratulations to Jack. The dynamic duo, Miss Boyer-Strang and Mr. Banas, always doing a great job in our building, and they were recognized for November. They're often referred to as the dynamic duo. They do a lot of work together relative to their clubs and in the language wing, so they're really leaders within our school. They've stepped up to take over student council last year at the end of the year and took it over under challenging circumstances. They organized our first virtual homecoming this year. They did all of our elections last year, so they really kept all of our traditions alive. And they also lead some of our most active and vibrant clubs in Latin Club and Spanish Club. Besides being friendly and nurturing to their students, they are very, very innovative in instructional design and really have emerged as go-to colleagues, especially in the realm of technology integration in the classroom. Their lessons are super engaging, rigorous, and they've really mastered some of our most promising application platforms for instruction. And the nice thing about Ms. Boyer-Strang and Mr. Banas is that they're always willing to share that expertise generously and graciously. So congratulations to both of them, the dynamic duo. Moving on to December, Student of the Month, we have another duo, Stephanie Frobel and Julia Latempio. Both Stephanie and Julia serve on our band council. Stephanie is the president and Julia is the vice president. They also serve as first chair and section leaders for their instruments. Stephanie plays the flute, Julia plays the saxophone. As our senior leaders, they have both shown astounding resilience given our current situation and are modeling the positive attitudes and work ethics for their peers. So the legendary Amherst Central High School music wing is alive and well. A lot going on down there, and it has a lot to do with students like Stephanie and Julia who keep that tradition alive, and it brought enthusiasm this year under these challenging circumstances. Congratulations, Julia and Stephanie. Student of the Month, another Connor Gill was nominated by Stephanie, and a great nomination, saying that he's an extremely deserving Student of the Month. Throughout high school, Connor has worked his very hardest and has overcome academic challenges. Connor has pushed himself to access the honors in AP classes and has steadily gained great momentum. His efforts, both academically and his success, are an asset to Amherst Central High School. Every day he offers his classmates help with assignments if they're confused, including AP Stats, which is a course Stephanie was doing an independent study in. He's always there to offer to study with his peers. Throughout his journey at Amherst, Connor is in school every morning at 7:25, often reviewing material in Dr. Weber's room. If coming in before school doesn't reflect his dedication to academics, what does really? So that is a great tribute to Connor. On top of his academic growth for himself and assistance to others, Connor is just a generous human being. He always comes to school with a smile on his face and laughter, and really brings a bright light to the classroom. He's positive despite the challenges that have come in and out of school. So he doesn't let anything get him down. Rather, he allows himself to shine, and he brings his classmates and his teachers up with him. So super, super deserved. And Connor Gill, congratulations for being nominated December Student of the Month. Teachers, Mr. Fliss. Mr. Fliss was nominated by student Connor Halt. Connor shared that Mr. Fliss is always in a good mood and during class. He likes to do games and videos that help the students learn the content a little better. And Mr. Fliss is also ready to always answer questions. He really felt Mr. Fliss was deserving of this nomination. Mr. Fliss is also a leader in our building. His annual gingerbread houses project near the holidays is always a bright tradition in this building. He's a part of many, many things, including our Donate Life Week, where he organizes fun student activities related to organ and blood donation awareness in Western New York and throughout the community through our community partner, Connect Life, that many of you formerly known as UNITS. In the classroom, Mr. Fliss is always a source of help for many things, especially if there's food involved. He's always helpful in our faculty events, also things like our multicultural fair. He helps us in accessing the food service in his culinary room so we can have these events, and always contributes in some manner given his expertise. He's often contributed to our annual faculty Super Bowl at the end of the year, Super Bowl meaning soup. And it's really been a fun, uplifting tradition for our faculty at the half-year point of the year. So congratulations to Mr. Fliss, well-deserved Teacher of the Month. A new face to Amherst, Miss Raitzer. Allison Witten nominated Miss Raitzer as Teacher of the Month. She stated that as a newest addition to the Amherst faculty, she's very deserving of Teacher of the Month. She's quite possibly the most accommodating and flexible teacher you will ever meet. She responds to emails quickly and works hard to help everyone, even if it takes extra time and effort on her part. She has played a massive role in getting our sleigh ride project off the ground, and many of you saw that on Facebook and such. It was quite a fun endeavor. putting together videos from our faculty and our students. Her smile is constant, contagious, and bright. She genuinely enjoys talking and listening to her students. She makes it a priority that everyone in her class feels appreciated. Her encouragement does not go unnoticed. She makes her students know that she's very proud of them and reinforces that really to get the best results out of our band. And the whole music department and Miss Raitzer have been super innovative, keeping that program vibrant in the building and keeping that love of music alive in our students. So for that and many, many things, Miss Raitzer, welcome to Amherst Central High School, and congratulations on being nominated for the well-deserved Teacher of the Month. That is our presentation. I just want to put a little special thanks out to our Pathfinder committee that was involved in helping me solicit and put these nominations to life. So thank you as always, and have a great rest of your board meeting.
Flexible and adapting to our new presentation of Students and Teachers of the Month. Also, it's nice to see that our students and teachers continue to shine even amidst a pandemic, and that they're still thriving within our high school. Our next presentation is somewhat of a follow-up to what you learned about back in the summer when we rolled out our comprehensive reopening plan. Now I'm pleased to bring back our elementary administrators to kind of bring to life some of the things that you saw on paper and see how they're playing out in our schools. So unfortunately, Mr. Crozier could not be here tonight. Trust me when I tell you this, there's nowhere else he'd rather be right now, but unfortunately he's not allowed to be here. And we do have from Windermere, Mrs. Flanagan and Mrs. Stager, and from Smallwood, Mrs. Martin, and Dr. Shanahan will also assist. So, welcome.
Only just a little bit, okay. So good evening, and thanks for giving us the opportunity to share with you the progress that we've made at the elementary level in this challenging 2021 school year. I think what you're going to see tonight will give you much confidence that all that work that was done to prepare for the school year and all the continuous meetings throughout the school year have really led to really good teaching and learning situations for our students. So this evening, we used to do the strategic planning presentations. They were very individualized by building. This endeavor, and based on those needs, this endeavor has really taken on a joint effort where both elementary schools worked hand in hand. So in the presentation tonight, although you might see slides or images from one school or the other, Windermere is going to spend some time on the virtual academy, and Smallwood will spend time on social emotional learning. Know that what's going on in those images is also representative of what's happening in the other buildings. So this is really a joint effort. So all the decisions that we've made, every single one on it, have always been foundationally focused on health and safety of our students, of our staff, of our administrators, and our families. So in the conversations that you'll hear in the presentations tonight, know that that has never gone out of our focus as we've moved through this year. Secondly, we had a social emotional committee, and then the building committees also came together to work on an emphasis of social emotional learning this time. We do have a little bit of data coming out that says there is a little bit more anxiousness and anxiety across this year with our students and with our family, and Mike and Mr. Belisle and his crew with Maria Otto have collected a lot of data around that. And knowing that, we have been strategically moving to support our everyday efforts around social emotional learning in ways that we've always attended to, but even more so because this is very different situation for us. So Mrs. Martin will present on that this evening and give you some information around how that social and emotional plan got operationalized in both elementary buildings. And then Mrs. Flanagan will share about how we reinvented instruction to fit this virtual model. So she'll breathe a little bit of life into a skeletal plan that we presented back in the beginning of the school year to you, and you'll get to see some images and practices that are going on throughout the year. So with that, I'm going to turn over to Mrs. Martin to present on social emotional learning.
Thank you, Dr. Shannon. So we wanted to start by reminding you that back in August, Mr. Crozier and Mrs. Flanagan presented to you their reopening committee's plan for health and safety. And it was a comprehensive plan that it was a comprehensive plan that talked about hygiene, PPE, and social distancing. And the 2 elementary schools then cohorted all of their students and made significant changes to their arrival and dismissal procedures, their hallway transitions, and their lunch times. And through all of those changes to the reopening committees, we've had a very successfully safe opening to our schools this year with very little COVID sickness in our buildings. It's been highly successful. That is still our #1 focus, as always, in our buildings. The second focus that we emphasized as a district this year was on our social and emotional learning. The district had a lot of forethought in that the students needed to be socially and emotionally aware of themselves before they could take on any academics this year. So the Social and Emotional Committee put together a comprehensive professional development plan to work with our teachers to implement a social and emotional curriculum for our students. This curriculum prioritizes that students need skills to manage their emotions, set and achieve positive goals, feel and show empathy for others, establish and maintain positive relationships, and make reasonable decisions. I'm really excited to introduce you to Mrs. Molly Everett and Mrs. Lindsay Close, 2 kindergarten teachers in our building, who have fully implemented this social and emotional curriculum in their kindergarten class and the impact it has on their students.
And we are here to talk to you today about social emotional learning and how we do it in our classroom. The first thing that we do is we taught our children about the universal tiger breath that we use here at Smallwood, and we provide visuals to them so that they have an understanding of what it actually means to take a breath and what our bodies feel like as we're doing it. So we're going to start that with you today. And that's just one of the strategies that we've taught the kids so far this year.
We really decided to focus on Bastido. This year, we wanted to figure out what we want to have kids learn the most. We realized that it's the life skills. We wanted them to know what focusing meant, what self-control is, following directions, listening. But we really need to teach them how to do it. The best way we can explain it is why would we teach an addition sentence before we teach them what the number 2 is. We need to give them a reason why we use the number 2, how to write it, how to build it, how to use it, so they can use it moving forward. It's exactly what we needed to do for following directions. What does that look like? How does it feel? When do you need it? So all of those life skills we were able to really dive in deeper during our SEL time so that now we can gain more with our academic time. I really want to talk also a little bit about the community that we were able to build. We are lucky to have an integrated classroom, so we have students with a range of abilities, a range of skills, a range of frustrations and emotions, and being able to identify how everyone feels using a variety of resources that we have, because everyone in the same ballpark. Everyone can tell us if they need to use a visual, if they need to use a color buddy, if they can verbalize it. So everyone can talk about it, everyone can identify it, everyone knows ways to help themselves as well as their friends. So everyone has found success, but also has helped us because we're not having behaviors, we're not seeing those frustrations with the kids. They are just coming into school and loving being here. So the last thing we're going to do, which we end every Zoom with, every day that we see the kids, is with something called a heart thought. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about it, and this effort is going to give you the last setup. So we will warn you that we made our parents do this at open house. We made the parents do it at parent-teacher conferences. So we really hope that you can join us doing this. So it's called a heart send it to someone with good intention. Someone, family member, a pet, an animal, we sent it to Mother Nature to bring snow, we sent it to the coronavirus to go away. So the kids really generate it and are the ones that are leading it. So basically put your hands together and you just really believe in this. So Mrs. Evans, go ahead.
Yeah, it's just another strategy to make like a worry spot or like a anger spot go away and just recognize that everybody see that thinking about something. So it's a really good thing that we can stick with. So one of the ones that has been working for us is we send whenever we to the Buffalo Bills and they're on a good winning streak. And the Sabres are also starting this week. So we will send them to the Buffalo Bills and to the Sabres. But you can send them to whoever you want. So what we do is we put your hands together, we're going to put your thought up into the air and take a deep breath. Thank you.
So SEL is implemented every single day in both buildings in a number of ways. All students receive a 20-minute to 30-minute morning meeting. And when I say all students, I mean both the students who are at home and in the classroom via Zoom. So everybody is getting that every single morning. These morning meetings include emotional check-ins, circle questions, and mindfulness activities. In addition to that, our wellness teachers have built in mindful breaks for teachers to use throughout their day. And we have mindful videos every Wednesday in our virtual announcements that Rory does and teaches different mindful activities to our students on Wednesdays. This is an example of a virtual morning meeting that teachers can use with their students on Zoom. And over here in all of these colorful containers are all different links that teachers can access resources for different mindful activities that they can use with their students. Not only are we focusing on our social and emotional well-being of our students, we are also focusing on our teachers. That has been another district initiative that our teachers are going through a lot during this pandemic as well, and it's very important to take care of our teachers. So our focus this year has been on self-care. Now I have Mrs. Noe here, our school social worker, and she's going to tell you how we've been implementing self-care at Smallwood and some of the initiatives that we are doing.
I'm Jen Noe, school social worker here at Smallwood, and self-care has been a priority for us, especially this year during the pandemic. This year we really chose to focus on the three basic areas of self-care, the first being awareness. We really worked hard at encouraging our staff to be able to self-assess how they're feeling so that stress doesn't build up. We've also encouraged balance. So we know this is a really stressful time, especially for our teachers that are teaching remote and teaching in person and hybrid, and it's caused a lot of stress. We really are encouraging them to take time for themselves and recognize that they need balance between work and home life and really manage that. And the last is connection. So even through social distancing, we really worked hard at encouraging our staff to find ways to connect with those they care about, as well as a staff as a whole, we really worked hard to boost morale and be able to stay connected within our buildings. We know that that's a priority to make sure that we make our work really fun and that we work together.
And this is an example of the virtual self-care lounge that Mrs. Noe has put together for our faculty and staff. On here are a bunch of resources that the teachers can use. Every single little picture on here is a different link to a self-care resource that teachers can use whenever they need a little pick-me-up. And now I will pass it over to Mrs. Flanagan to talk about the Virtual Academy.
Hi, good evening. I'm Mrs. Flanagan, and I am really excited to share with you the newly created Virtual Academy that's happening in most of the buildings. This is an instructional model that the district created in order to offer different opportunities for parents for this year. So, over the summer, the building committees worked collaboratively with teachers and administrators. One of the committees was the Teaching and Learning Committee. And we knew that, okay, how are we going to do this now? We have to offer instruction to all students from 5, 6 years old. Really wrap your head around that. 5, 6 years old, through a computer. We have to do this and teach them reading, guided reading, small math groups. How are we going to do this? Well, the teachers were sort of given their marching orders. And believe me, these were These were difficult for the teachers to wrap their head around, but they worked collaboratively on these expectations with the district, and so this was the framework that was given to the teachers. They knew that they had to embed live teaching, which is synchronous, also asynchronous teaching. You can see in their morning meeting, social studies and science. And again, to a 5-year-old.
Mrs.
So-
Fleming, just to be clear, this is for the parents and students who chose the fully remote option.
Yes.
This is not for the hybrid students that are coming in person.
So in that virtual model that they selected, the teachers knew this was the framework that they had to really operationalize. So this is what the incredible Amherst teachers created to think, how are we going to operationalize this? How is this going to look for kids and for parents who are in this remote model? So this is what they created. And every day in the virtual academy classrooms, remote, their parents will know, okay, what's going to happen for Monday? What's the schedule? What time do I need to wake up Lucy Flanagan to make sure that she is logged in and ready to go for reading and for math? So every day you can see on their schedule there is a variety of live lessons and what we call asynchronous, which is independent work. You can also see on this slide there are hyperlinks. So if you were to go over here, you could access, if I were to click on that, I would access Mrs. Treitler's Zoom link. This is actually a co-taught classroom. Over here is Mrs. Federico, and this is where the students know they would click on to access the Zoom link here. Also, we've been fortunate enough to be able to still provide specials, art, music, and phys ed to the students in the virtual academy, and they can access this here by clicking on the paint palette. Over here, we also review each day what are some of the norms for those students working virtually from home. So now you're looking at this and thinking, okay, again, I'm a student in this remote learning model. How does this work for me if I'm in a group of all these students? And the teachers know that at Amherst, we still want to deliver a high level of instruction and deliver guided reading groups and small math groups. The students are put into groups by ability, and so the teachers are able to still teach and remediate according to their level. You can see in this slide, depending on what group your child might be placed in, it gives them an outline of their schedule for that day. So you can see students are still attending guided reading, whole group time, math, independent work time, and as well as remedial time with the teacher. Down here on the screen, everything is hyperlinked for the students and the parents. So the student knows if I need to see guided reading with Mrs. Butsick, I'm going to go here for the hyperlink and instantly access that learning digital environment. So then the students know that, what do I do on that independent time? So if I'm not with you and the screen learning, what am I responsible for doing? So each day they're also giving directions and guidance on their independent work time. Again, you'll see that the students and the parents would refer to this, identify that the group that they're in, and know the asynchronous tasks that they need to complete. So these are just evidences and pieces to share with you of how incredibly organized our Amherst teachers are. They have this all set up for the students and the parents to access very easily at their fingertips. It's alleviated a lot of stress for the parents. As you can imagine, it's difficult to maintain this type of learning through a fully virtual world. So these slides that have been interactive have been very much appreciated by both teachers and families, or students and families.
And this platform, what the student or the parents see is the same as Smallwood or?
Yes, yes. Now it changed a little bit in terms of the colors and the font and all of those things, but yes, they all have that original landing page with the schedule and how to access the links. Technology is the pivotal tool that they're learning in this virtual academy. You can see here, this is an example of a student using Kami. And Kami is a platform where students can click on an area to say, okay, I want to show my work. Well, how do they do that if they're not able to show paper pencil work for the teacher to check? So this is an example of a child still being able to do the math work using Kami as a tool to note on the worksheet. So the teacher can view it, and that's their check for progress, and making sure that they have that final check for information of where the student is and what areas they might need support in. Students are also using Jamboard, Nearpod, Google Docs, Seesaw, Happy Numbers, Literacy Footprints, and Padlet. And that's not even naming all of the software and platforms that our teachers are using. And I really want to recognize the work of our technology department, the technology staff under the guidance of Dr. Shanahan, and how they've worked collaboratively with teachers to make sure that all of the Amherst teachers have the tools and the resources they need to really meet the needs this year for the students. Go Guardian is another tool that we provided to our teachers. This tool has been incredible for our teachers. Go Guardian software helps the teachers to easily manage their students' devices so they can better understand their actions, and it keeps them safe. So here is a picture of a teacher in the virtual academy. She's viewing now all of her students. And this is something that we're piloting with just a few of our teachers who are teaching remotely, which is sort of a high-level piece of equipment to see how it's working in that field. But ultimately, whether it's on a giant screen or a smaller screen, the Go Guardian allows the teacher to completely take over the child's screen and to completely access their device. So if there's a child at home who is struggling, oh, Mrs. Flanagan, I can't seem to find the tab, I don't know where that is. Well, it's hard. The teacher can't get up and go over and just assist them. How do they do that? They can instantly see on their computer where they are and say, Lucy, honey, you're in the wrong tab. And they can do it for them, or they can guide them. So they can not only help assist them with the software and the technology, but they can also see their actions. So in terms of classroom management, if there is a student who's off task, and if there is a student who is not where they should be and on a different platform or on a different tab, the teacher can instantly view to see, okay, Lucy, you're not where you need to be. You need to make sure that you're on the right page of where you need to access the information. So it's a behavior management tool, but it's also a support tool. And it's been invaluable for our teachers, not just in the virtual academy, but all of the teachers who are working remotely every day. And also at Windermere and Smallwood, all day Wednesday is a remote day. So this software has been invaluable for those teachers to hold their students accountable and also to provide support. So not only are our teachers working in this fully virtual model, able to figure out how to deliver a high-level instruction through a virtual world, they have also gone above and beyond and exceeded our expectations. Here is a snippet of video showing you some of the highlights of the extras that they have been able to do to provide a sense of community with our students as well as social and emotional support.
Outside of class on Zoom. This is an actual club, and it allows students to build relationships and have informal conversations with their peers while also learning a fun topic. So we have a really strong need from parents and kids that
we was very good at how to start this study. Our class newspaper, the Class Gazette, is a student-inspired addition to our virtual event. Our newspaper group meets once a week, and a small group of students gather information and collaborates to make our Gazette, which is then shared out with the rest of our class each Friday.
So character education and responsive classroom has still been able to be delivered. We've maintained that consistency even in our virtual teaching. The students are still recognized for their character education traits. We've still been able to carry that initiative through, even though it's something we do consistently throughout the years when we're in the hybrid model. These teachers at both schools, Smallwood and Windermere, they truly have not missed a beat and been able to deliver the same type of experiences as best as possible to those students in the hybrid model. And next, you'll see a little bit more on social emotional learning happening at Smallwood.
As part of our social and emotional learning this year at Smallwood, our mindfulness committee implemented Mantra Mondays. A mantra is an affirmation to motivate and inspire you to be your best self. In the fall, each classroom came up with their own mantra to kind of live by throughout this school year, kind of inspire them during this pandemic. And here are a few of them in a short video for you.
So when we speak about mantras for this year, one of the mantra for our elementary teachers and for both of our schools is rest assured, we got this. And I know myself and Mr. Crozier are just incredibly proud of our teachers and really what they've been able to accomplish this year. And it's only January. And to see all that they have done and to hear how they are so proud of themselves to know that things will change next year for the better, but their teaching style has greatly improved and they have learned so much from these experiences, whether teaching in the virtual academy or the new initiatives with SEL. So many things will continue to be the mainstay. So rest assured, we got this. Thank you.
Does anybody have any questions, comments, follow-ups?
Well,
Yeah.
I actually have a question. What challenges are you guys facing? Because it seems as though things are going really well.
The challenges, I think, are, we want as many students to be in the hybrid model as possible. Even though we have a great model that we do offer, the benefits of in-person schooling does far outweigh those at home. And I think one of the biggest hurdles is that social emotional component. Many students that we're hearing are very isolated, even if they're at home learning and being kept engaged, but it's the isolation. So I think it's really the impact on social emotional health. It's been very challenging for small kids. They're just social beings and they learn by socializing. So learning, how to line up, how to interact, how to take turns. It's very difficult to do and apply those skills at home when you're alone. So that's one of the challenges, is how do we still provide those opportunities in the models that we have in place?
Yeah, I think a huge challenge is just time. In the hybrid model, we're seeing our kids pretty much half the time, with 2 full days in school, 1 full day on Wednesdays, and then some learning on the other 2 days. And then when we went from hybrid to fully remote, and now back to hybrid, it was interesting last week, especially with your littlest kids, our kindergarten and first graders, it was like September for some of them again, and just getting back into what does the school routine look like and being in class. And they really missed those things about school that you don't get from being at home learning on a computer.
To all the tools that we've been afforded to work with the virtual academy are good, but there are sometimes no substitutes for the embodiment of learning. So having that book in my hand, having that teacher be able to walk across the table, reach across the table and touch that book to reorient me is very different than using Go Guardian. I think we've done a superb job with a difficult situation, but it does not, I don't know that it can ever equate to a combination of both in some way. I think what will happen is we'll use more digital tools from this point forward in positive ways that are appropriate. It will be a choice. So it'll be a strategic, under which conditions do I really want to use this tool? Right now, there's not a choice in many situations due to health and safety issues, which is kind of what we said is foundational to everything. So I think given the situation, there are affordances and limitations to learning in virtual spaces versus face-to-face. So I think that's something that, you're right, it's not all sunshine and roses, but I think there are incredible, we've taken incredible steps forward as to what we did last spring into now, and I think that the learning is much improved because of it. I will tell you, when I shared with the teachers in August that I was asking them to do differentiated reading and math, the looks on their faces were, you got to show us how, you need to show us how. I did, and then they exceeded it. Right? So I think they also found out they can use these tools in ways they never imagined. So I think, like Julie and Melissa have said, there's positive growth there, but then there's also reasons to keep some of the same practices that have always worked before when we have those choices.
So you don't think that academically they're going to be missing a year? You think these kids are
I think
learning?
There's definitely going to be some gaps, for sure. There will be some gaps, and the teachers are keeping a close track of what are those gaps. So we'll, as we get through the year, we'll evaluate that, and we'll make a plan to remediate and to fill those gaps.
Child-dependent plan, can't do, but I think they're learning.
Oh, definitely. Definitely.
Yeah. And I also think it depends a little bit. Like, we've talked to a couple intermediate teachers that are like, if we get more time with them on Monday, when they go home on Tuesday, they will be doing some of that independent writing. It will be that work they'd be doing in their classroom anyways. So they're getting more one-on-one time with some kids, socially distanced and safe, than they would have if they had the whole classroom. So I actually was surprised when some people said, I have to tell you, with certain things, certain content areas, I've been able to give more time to that particular student or that group of students because I only have a portion of them in front of me. That's a hybrid model, obviously. But we are planning on, we are looking at the standards that we're covering on a regular basis. We're looking at the standards, power standards that are the most important ones, that are like the high utility ones, that are necessary and newly introduced at every grade level. We're doing that with our teaching and learning committee, and then that's flowing out to the grade levels. We're also making plans for, when we identify where those gaps are and curricular elements that we get to, if things change and we can have more instruction this summer, what would that look like? How would we fill those gaps? So we're really thinking about what we're doing, what we're not doing, and then how to make those changes, because we are going to have to supplement with something.
The teachers identified, piggybacking off what Dr. Shannon had mentioned, we spent time in the beginning of the year at faculty meetings identifying those power standards. If you only have, so much time to teach, what do you really need to focus on? So they really identified those and focused their teaching on those power standards. Teachers have said, though, they're not as far behind as they expected, which is quite interesting, but they are doing definitely the best that they can this year.
You might be able to answer this. Is there, throughout K through 12, is there a grade that seems to be taking to remote learning better than others? Or is it not really?
This is a gut answer,
Yeah.
not a research-based answer. I think it's actually very individualized by person. Some people really respond well to that virtual learning. I think it's extraordinarily difficult in K1 and going into 2 because what the devices, the way they have to interact with them is a little bit different, right, than what they have the skills and strategies to do. They're learning them, but I definitely think primary grade's a little bit difficult to be doing. Intermediate, though, you can have a child who just doesn't take to remote learning. So, yeah, I think it's really an individualized basis. Primary, I think, is very, very challenging. That's my personal opinion.
Agreed.
Well, you bring up some really good points in your questions and the responses. We've already started to turn an eye towards what does it look like to open up in a greater capacity, and then what happens in the summer in a remedial capacity or even enrichment capacity, and then moving into next year, what do we do? Because we're not sure what the future will hold, but there are some things that we can kind of predict may happen. We're trying to get out ahead of them now while we're still managing the reopening plan and the day-to-day. So I think this is a great representation of what you saw in the written plan. There's a tremendous sense of pride in our district because everybody from our facility staff to our food service staff to our teachers, administrators, all of our employees have stepped up and have risen to the challenge. As I was watching this presentation, I was thinking, we've spent over 150 years studying, researching, and trying to implement best practices in in-person instruction. And we didn't perfect that because there is no perfect way to provide in-person instruction. We're constantly refining, and then overnight, switch to providing remote instruction. And now you can see the growth from what we did last February, March to what's happening now. I mean, it's tremendous. So I'm just really proud to lead a district that has people that are so energetic and enthusiastic and adaptable and flexible. Those have really been the keys to this pandemic. So thank you. Great job. I think Amy is behind us here. She's been an integral part of the team too as our Windermere assistant principal. She didn't get any screen time up front, but I do want to make sure she's recognized for her efforts. That is the end of the superintendent's report.
All right, we will need a motion for new business items.
I'll make a motion for new business items 1A through F, 2A through D, 3, D, and G.
You have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor of approving new business items E1, A through F, 2A through D, and 3D and G, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. I don't believe we have any follow-up action items, Mr. Stubbs. Great. Then we will need a motion to convene to executive session.
I'll make a motion to convene to executive session regarding one of a particular person.
You have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor of convening to executive session, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Thank you, everyone.